Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today got a build guide for you. It's going to be Love's build guide for a Soul Feast Reaper form Lich. Now you could argue that while Death Seal and Ripblood are also being used, that it's not a full Soul Feast build. However, Soul Feast is doing quite a bit of damage, and when matched up with Death Seal and Ripblood, you can use it in a good rotation and do quite a bit of damage with it. It also has really good survivability. Of course, you have Reaper form for the free life. On top of that, you have lots and lots of Leech. You'll have capped resistance, and it does well, really well in the end game. You can push it into a few hundred corruption, no problem. You're going to do empowered content, no problem. And of course, the best part about it, it's got lots and lots of leech. You don't have to depend upon healing, you don't have to use Aura of Decay, and again, we're not based upon dodge or any sort of mechanic that can lead you to an early death. So let's go ahead and get into the skills, the interactions, and just how it all works. For skills, I'm running Transplant, Rip Blood, Soul Feast, Death Seal, and Reaper Form. For Transplant, we have this set up to get mana back, to get bone armor, and to do detonations. It'll also cast 3 Rip Bloods for us, which will help with the mana back. 1 point in Acolyte's Fervor, 3 points in Dance with Blood, 2 points in Sadism, 3 points in Pale Blood, 1 point in Rain of Blood, 2 points in Depravity, 2 points in Black Mirror, 2 points in Scarlet Rain, 2 points in Bone Armor, and 1 point in Apostasy. For Rip Blood, we have this set up to have as fast cast speed as possible and to get mana back with it. It'll also give you lots of health, but we're mostly focused on getting the mana with it and having it do at least 1 blood splatter for us so that we can hit in a larger area. We got 4 points in Hemomancer, 3 points in Thirst, 2 points in Quenching, 3 points in Mana Feast, 2 points in Arcane Absorption, 1 point in Rip Spirit to convert it to necrotic damage since that's the damage we're doing the most of, and 5 points in Splatter. For Soul Feast, we have this set up so it's going to be in cone shape so that it will hit all enemies in the cone without them having to have a curse on them, so you don't have to run Bone Curse or some other sort of curse onto the enemies. On top of that, we have it to where it can repeat, so it will cast every time you cast it. Between 1 and 7 times is the max, I believe, and the points we have set up is 4 points in Grim Affliction, 3 points in Renewed Feast, so it's possible to have up to 6 extra recasts, so up to 7 of the maximum will happen. 3 points in Sharpened Influence, 4 points in Hunger, 1 point in Grand Imprint, and 5 points in Devour. For Death Seal, we have this set up to have Death Wave. It's also going to apply Damn to you. You'll do more damage for all of the damned that's on you, and then it also gives you increased global damage. It'll also cap you at 33% of your maximum health, so that you'll automatically be in low life, and then on top of that, since it caps you there, any passive points that you have that also get procced, like 40% increased damage when at low life, that's tripled, you'll get all of those additional benefits just for activating Death Seal. So we got 2 points in Moratorium, 1 point in Soul Stability, 1 point in The Quick and the Dead, 4 points in Doom Call, 5 points in Corrupted Consciousness, 1 point in Mortal Pulse, 2 points in Tachycardia, 3 points in Desperate Shroud, and 1 point in Deadlock. For Reaper form, we have this set up to give you a lot of cast speed. It's also going to reduce the health, the drain, give you extra leech, give you spell damage, and a lot more attack. So we've got 2 points in Mistress of Decay, 3 points in Harbinger of Blood, 1 point in Reaper's Ascendance, 4 points in Death Touch Scythe, which will give you 8 extra necrotic damage with spells and attacks while you're in Reaper, 1 point in Soul for a Soul, 4 points in Reaper's Curse, 2 points in Death Comes Quickly, which can eventually give you some more move speed, and 3 points in Rapid Destruction for that 30% cast speed, which is really nice for Rip Blood. For passives, I've got 20 points in the base Acolyte class with 5 points in Blood Aura, 2 points in Stolen Vitality, 5 points in Blood Pact, and 8 points in Forbidden Knowledge. And then we have 93 points in the Lich, our Mastered class, with 8 points in Survival of the Cruel, 8 points in Dance with the Death, 5 points in Grasp of Fate, 6 points in Crippling Insight, 8 points in Unclosing Wounds, 8 points in 3 Plagues. That 24% necrotic penetration is very, very powerful. 5 points in Deathbringer, 10 points in Necrotic Energy, 5 points in Clairvoyant Insight, 5 points in Ageless Ascetic, 5 points in Soul Maul, 10 points in Mind over Body. Then for idols, items, blessings, uniques, we have no uniques. This is a unique free build. You don't need any of them. You can do this with just crafted items. They don't even have to be exalted. It'll still run good, but exalted will obviously make it more powerful. For idols, you can really do whatever you want with idols. You want more life, you can run life idols. If you want more damage, you can run damage idols. None of them will make or break the build. For this build, however, how you see it in the gameplay, we have two hybrid idols that have increased damage while transformed and increased spell damage while at low life. So when you activate Death Seal, you're going to be one transformed with Reaper, and when Death Seal is active, you'll go to low life, so you'll have extra spell damage. This will give you the biggest boost of damage. We have two of those on, and then everything else is whatever you want. You can do health, critical strike avoidance, cover any resistance that you weren't able to get on gear. It's all up to you. If you want to just do resistances and health, you'll be really tanky. It'll be really easy to put that together. If you want to go for as much damage as possible, putting in the 1x4s and 1x3s with that access spell damage is going to be your best bet. For weapons, you can run this with a one-hand and catalyst if you'd like. You'll have much higher crit chance. You might want to spec things a little different. In the passive tree, take the spell critical strike multiplier. Inside of Reaper form, you're going to want that spell critical strike multiplier. However, with a two-hander, when you don't have as much critical strike chance, you basically just want to build into as much spell damage and damage that you can do with it, as well as your defense and your improved or increased health. So for here we have the two-handed sorcery staff. We've got increased cast speed, very important for the cast speed. You want to cast Ripplet as fast as possible to get as much mana back as quickly as possible so that you can keep casting Soul Feast. We also got increased spell damage, and then we got chill and slow so that enemies that have been hit don't really have a good... Yeah, that allows you to attack from range with either Soul Feast or keep them at bay with Death Seal. You can also be ranged with Ripplet and attack from a distance with that as well. And for the chest, we just got increased necrotic damage while transformed, damage leeches health while transformed, and then increased health and flat health. And I'm just going to hover over the rest of these. There's no added skills. There's nothing that's super rare. Of course, be in the description down below as well as in the written guide, so you can take a look at it if you want. It'll be there for you. For blessings, also nothing special. We did grab the critical strike avoidance and some necrotic shred on hit. Other than those two, you can really switch it out however you want. You can get some more endurance if you wanted. You can any blessing that you want, but the necrotic res shred is going to be very helpful for damage, especially against rares and bosses that take multiple hits. And the critical strike avoidance, obviously you can get that on gear as well, but getting the blessing is really nice. For the character sheet, as you can see, we have just over 2200 health. Now if you go with all the idols for health, you can easily bump that up to almost 3000 health depending on how good your idols are. If you get some exalted items with increased or hybrid or flat health, you can easily get over 3000 health. If you do a mixture of both, you can get 3500 health. All of that's going to increase your survivability and push how high into corruption you can go without dying. But this build, as it is, can go about 500 to 700 corruption before running into problems. Of course, that also depends a lot on what modifiers you're choosing and what you're able to get around. Now for resistance, you can see that we're capped on everything except for poison. We're a little low on necrotic, but we could cover that with an idol if we wanted. Got about 16% armor, again, not building dodge. And then for damage types, we've got almost 300% critical strike multiplier, and we have a lot of global damage. And we have about 700% spell damage along with about 550% necrotic damage. Now both of those are going to go up when we go into Reaper form, and then they'll go up again when we activate Death Seal. To show you what I mean, I will activate our good old Reaper form now. You'll notice we jumped up to 920% spell damage and almost 1000% spell necrotic damage. And then when I go and activate Death Seal, it jumps again. Well, not now, I got knocked out of Reaper form, so we'll have to wait a few seconds, but you'll notice that it'll jump up again. Alright, Reaper form and Death Seal together, you'll notice that we have almost 2000% spell damage and 2000% necrotic damage, which is a ton. You're going to do a lot of damage while it's active. Alright, so for how to play the build, you want to stay in Reaper form as much as possible. You're going to want to use Death Seal whenever it comes off of its cooldown, and then as long as you have mana, you want to use Soul Feast. So we'll go ahead and activate our Reaper. Then you'll have your Death Seal going off. I'll show you how much that's hitting for here. We're doing about 50,000 damage to 100,000 damage on a crit. And then, of course, we use Soul Feast. You can get about 50k crits with that, about maximum. And then for Soul Feast, you can use it. Remember, it's going to randomly hit. Your Ripblood's going to do absolutely crazy bonkers amounts of cast speed and attack speed with it. which is just going to absolutely give you a massive amount of mana. Now you can do 10k crits with Rip Blood against the training dummy, which means you're going to hit mobs for about 1 to 2k damage with it, and not a whole lot. But it's the Soul Feast damage where you're doing those 30 to 50k crits with it, and it's doing 7 of those in a row. You know, up to 7 of those in a row. That's really going to be really damaging as well as it has an AoE. But between Death Seal, using the Soul Feast, and attacking with Rip Blood, your damage can get a bit crazy, especially on single target. Alright, that's going to be it for this build guide. I'm going to leave it there for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to leave you with some gameplay. As always, stay safe, and have a good day, travelers.